The greatest humiliation of the USA in history. Trump surrenders to Putin's propaganda and insults Zelenskyy. This is what we will talk about today. Even a donkey can be brave when it kicks a tied-up lion. Sorry, I'm not good at pictures, so this is what I could create. In this video, I will not only summarize the known facts about Trump-Zelenskyy press conference, but I will provide some information no one has told you before. At least I haven't seen it anywhere yet, and I saw a lot of videos about this press conference, and I will explain you why this is important to know. Please stay with me till the end of the video. Hello there, I am Elena, welcome back to my channel Enough of Propaganda. Please like, subscribe, share my videos. Let's make truth available for everyone. And for those who don't know me, I have a whole playlist about me, which is explaining that I'm not from Ukraine. I'm originally from Russia, and I live in Canada for over 20 years and travel the world. And I did big research on the war in Ukraine for over 11 years. So unlike many people on YouTube who started follow and fight for Ukraine and support Ukraine and provide information about this war, they only started 3 years ago, when the full-scale invasion started, on February 24th, 2022. But the war started 11 years ago, on February 20th, 2014. And this is why I know the history of it, and very few people could really quickly provide you facts and information. This video proves about this war. This is why I can sometimes give you some information from both kind of sides, because I know Russian and I understand Ukrainian and I speak English as well. Not as good though, but good enough. And this is why you will have on my channel the full information from all sides, so you can have a perspective and you can have understanding of the war. As you can see here, I have playlists in English and in Russian, and you can find out about war in Ukraine 2014, at least 6 videos I have on Crimea, and many other things, include the information on the so-called foreign agents or foreign assets of Putin from different countries, who supported Putin from the beginning of the war in Ukraine, and even before that, who helped him to become who he has become, and who he became, and basically not only was appeasing him, but emboldening him and enabling him from different countries. These people, for different reasons, helped Putin and keep helping him right now. I have several posts on Quora which I can provide for you so you can see it for yourself, and I'll give the links to them in the description. So, as a summary about what happened during this press conference, first of all, I want you to know that it's irrelevant to what Trump did right now. He withdrew support from Ukraine and even stopped sharing intelligence. And so basically, United States switched sides and trying to use this press conference as a pretext for that. But it has nothing to do with what happened. During the press conference, basically, I understand why people said it was staged, because it did. It was looked like and felt like reality TV show, like The Apprentice, made for Russian dictator Putin. Zelenskyy, why people thinking about that? It's because it shouldn't happen. Zelenskyy wasn't even supposed to. He didn't even need to come to United States to sign that deal in person. It was completely, by the way, different deal that they were talking about. Everybody say rare earth metals. This is not about that at all. It's changed many times, and now it just was an agreement to make an agreement. There was no guarantees for Ukraine. It was just a lollipop for Trump to look good. That's it. So typically, after such an agreement, leaders basically, if they even present, pose for the cameras, say a couple of words, greetings, hello, bye-bye, how are you? And usually the vice president doesn't even speak if he even present during all such occasions. Find me where he does. This is it. This is what was supposed to happen. and usually American media is invited and Russian aggressors are not. This time, however, it was different. American news, who was providing news for American people for a long time, like Associated Press or Reuters, were not even granted access. But one of the main Russian propaganda channels, TASS, known for spreading Russian disinformation since the USSR, just happened to walk by and attended the conference. TASS was not on approved list of media for today's poll, a White House official said. Yeah, they just happened to walk by and walk in White House just like that, where the President of the United States and the Vice President together are sitting in the same room. Anybody looks like could just walk in at the White House. This is how it is. During our video, I'm gonna show you some footage of the war. This is Russians installing nets, trying to protect from the drones and stuff like that. Just for you had something to look at while we're talking. I have been researching the war in Ukraine for over 11 years, and I have video evidence to support everything I say. During the press conference, Zelenskyy spoke the truth. Putin did whatever he wanted, even during Trump's presidency. The war in Ukraine has been ongoing since 2014. Ukrainians in Russian-occupied territories like Crimea, Donbass, have been killed, raped, and tortured just as they have been in occupied Georgian territories since 2008. Yet, Trump ignores the reality, parroting Putin's propaganda and denying that the war continued all 4 years of his presidency. What was Zelenskyy supposed to do? Agree with Trump and tell Ukrainian people, the American president says, there is no war. Your loved ones are not dead. You must be mistaken. It just seems to you that it happened. It actually didn't. Trump conveniently forgets the 2018 Kerch strike incident, when Russian forces openly attacked the Ukrainian military for the first time, and I showed this in my video. Can Trump really stop the war in Ukraine? This is Russian medal, which say 20th of February 2014, for so-called returning of Crimea. So both countries agreed that this is the day of the beginning of the war in Ukraine. And by the way, these are casualties, just civilian casualties in Ukraine in 2016, 17, 18, 19, and so on. So the war was continuing all these years. This is the UN information. And this is the incident itself, when Russian ship rammed into Ukrainian one, and during that Kerch strike attack, Russia captured Ukrainian sailors and held them prisoners for a year. So you're welcome to see the evidence in my video, how it happened. So this was first time when it was open attack of Russian army and Russian Navy basically attacked Ukrainians. This is what happened. And in the past, Russia was lying. This is the little green men are not Russians, this and that. These are the Russian army attacking Ukrainians openly for the first time during Trump's presidency. Where was the Trump then? The man who claimed he could stop the war in a day. Trump did nothing about it. He didn't stop the war then. Why didn't he? Why didn't he stop? A lie, even if repeated 1,000 times, remains a lie, no matter how many people believe it. Unfortunately, Trump either learned from Putin, from Russian KGB, from Soviet KGB, from FSB. He using manipulative Soviet KGB tactics, which is modern day FSB using as well, and so on. And Putin practiced it on Russian people, and it works. We in school learn that the repetition is the mother of learning. So Putin kept ramming his propaganda, repeating the same lies, completely made up, over and over and over, until some people started to believe it and thinking, yeah, it must be true, because he repeated 1,000 times. That's what Trump was saying. I said 1,000 times that if I would be president, there would be no war. There was war for all 4 years. What do you expect Zelenskyy to do? To say it didn't happen? This is why Zelenskyy contradicted Trump exactly in the same manner as Macron, as British Prime Minister, because Trump in public, on camera, was trying to lie to American people about France, about UK, and about Ukraine. Completely not true information. And I don't care, he believes in it, he doesn't, this wasn't true. Another important thing happened during this press conference. Trump said that he spoke to Putin just a couple of days ago, which was a big surprise to the rest of the government. He did it behind the back of the US government and the American people. A president is talking to Russians, Trump admitting it, doing it even before he became a president for the second term, during Russia's war in Ukraine, and then publicly repeating every Russian propaganda lie word for word. Why is that? By the way, the majority of Americans, representatives from both parties, don't trust Putin and even support Ukraine. This was one of the polls done. Do you think that Vladimir Putin is a dictator? Yes, 71% of Americans. As I said, even Macron and Starmer had to correct Trump when he spread Russian disinformation. And at his press conference with Zelenskyy, Trump not only lied repeatedly, but humiliated a wartime leader who has fought for democracy while Trump causes up to a dictator Putin. Not one American in that room stood up for Zelenskyy or challenged Trump's disgraceful behavior. Instead, they debated Zelenskyy's wardrobe, as if that was matter while his country is embroiled in a bloody war and Ukrainians are dying every day. And so are Russians. Over 870,000 of Russians dead, wounded, and missing in action during this Putin's stupid war in Ukraine, which was not necessary for any means whatsoever. And by the way, the person who asked Zelenskyy the stupid question about not wearing a suit was Brian Glenn from the pro-Trump Real America's Voice Network, a far-right conspiracy theory channel. He, apparently, is a Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend. So Moscow Marjorie, her boyfriend was allowed to ask Trump a question in the Oval Office, but real journalists weren't even allowed to participate in the conference. Furthermore, Real America's Voice was selected to take a secondary TV role in the White House press pool alongside CNN on Friday, a position that didn't exist before this week. Meanwhile, as you can see, Elon Musk, who walked into White House not wearing a suit, faced no issues or questions about his attire. I would love to see someone ask Saudi Arabian representatives why they are dressed up in rags. Can't they afford a suit? And now new information on the matter. We will talk about this my video. Massive Kremlin disinformation campaign to undermine Zelenskyy exposed. Perhaps it may be not very successful title for this video because it's talking about not just Zelenskyy, it's about the massive Kremlin disinformation campaign called the Operation Doppelganger. Many people have never heard of the Russian covert operation, a Russian disinformation campaign called Doppelganger. I made a video on it. One of the main goals of the campaign was to discredit not only Ukraine, but President Zelenskyy to stop aid to Ukraine from its allies. And one of the main tactics to achieve this goal was Zelenskyy is ungrateful and disrespectful. The allies are tired of him. And there were a mass campaign, lots of attacks on Zelenskyy, lots of lies. And these are basically Russian documents which controlling how the campaign was going on, in what social media, how many posts, Twitter, Facebook, for example, what those posts and themes of the post were about. I translated it all in this video, and how Ukrainian public is buying it, not buying it, should we continue with that, shouldn't we, and what is about how they trust their government, how it is going. So all of this was done in this video. Include the speech of the Rogozin. Basically, as I told you before, in Russia there are professional propagandists, and many of them taught in the universities, and even in the university for the diplomats, for example, they teaching them how to lie, how to manipulate people, and there was a lecture on it, how to basically disrupt and how to influence other countries, how to destroy them, psychological warfare, basically. So I translated a little piece of it so people could know how things done, how it is done to them, why Russian propaganda is getting into their countries, and how it is done. So Zelenskyy isn't ungrateful or disrespectful, neither is anybody else. Basically, Ukrainians, every Ukrainian I know, were grateful to the United States And I personally saw Zelenskyy and many Ukrainians, from government officials to private citizens, who expressed gratitude to the United States and other allies. In fact, Zelenskyy has thanked the United States at least 33 times on camera since 2022. I personally have not seen enough gratitude from the United States to Ukraine, though Ukraine did a lot to help United States. For example, even using Patriot missiles. Every time Russia shoots at Ukraine, Ukrainians collect valuable information which United States can't get anywhere else. And they could calibrate them kind of more precise to intercept Russian missiles. You can't get this information from anywhere else. And the fact that so many Ukrainians died defending our democracy, because if Ukraine fall, Russians will be in Europe. This is Sergei Kiriyenko, the chief of that Doppelganger campaign. And my point is, this was number one goal of that campaign, to discredit President Zelenskyy. And number one theme was that he's ungrateful. And now, American president repeating this thing. To setting up what happened after. We now see what happened. Ukraine now left without American aid. And more Ukrainian people will die. Just because Trump wants to squash Ukraine and force them to surrender to Russia. And now they don't even share intelligence. So they needed an excuse, and they created one by stage show, which just happened in Oval Office. While Trump was trying to tell that Putin wants peace, and they had that conference with Zelenskyy and so on. Meanwhile, Russia bombed hospital, another hospital in Kharkiv, which I have friends. This is how Russia wants peace. And now, when Russian army relies on cripples, convicts, and North Korean troops to fight the war, and donkeys, horses, and these scooters for transport, while its economy collapses with 29-30% inflation, Trump listens to Putin and suddenly decides this war must stop immediately. Who is he helping here? In my opinion, he is helping his buddy Putin. As for ceasefire, I have another video which called Why No One Should Trust Russian Ceasefire, with some footage even from Vice News, for example. In 2014 alone, Russia violated at least 29 ceasefires. There were violations during Trump presidencies as well, as Zelenskyy told about it. Russia has broken every agreement since 2014, including firing on Ukrainian civilians in humanitarian corridors. I personally know the family from the United States, whose relatives, Ukrainians, were killed in the humanitarian corridor when they was trying to escape towards Ukraine. Russia killed them. Suggesting another ceasefire without ironclad security guarantees is either stupid or evil. And Zelenskyy couldn't agree on it. What he's supposed to say? Just to please another ignorant foreigner, foreign leader? He's supposed to kill Ukrainian people? Just pretend that he believed Trump, knowing that it's not true, that Putin wouldn't obey ceasefire, and kill more Ukrainians, just to show another ignorant foreigner that it doesn't work? Then they would say, gee, who knew? Well, everybody knew who actually saw it happen. Vice News Simon Ostrovsky saw it. He filmed it. You're welcome to watch it in his video. I have links to every single source in my videos, and to his videos as well. I give the sources in my original video, this one. You will find it, and you can watch it for yourself. What happens when Russia and Ukraine has ceasefire without any guarantees? In my opinion, and this is an opinion, Trump and or Vance and Musk set up an ambush. They tried to humiliate and discredit Zelenskyy in the eyes of American public, so it would be easier to explain why the USA had to stop aid for Ukraine. But all they did was reveal their own moral bankruptcy and connections to the aggressor, Putin. If Trump wants respect, he should stop spreading Russian propaganda lies and stop siding with war criminals like Putin. And about cards, that Zelenskyy doesn't have any cards, Trump lied again. In fact, Ukraine has never been in the best position, in better position than right now. On the battlefield, Russian offensive stopped. It stalled. And Russia losing grounds even in Pokrov's direction, where they actually was the only place where they kind of was achieving something by throwing thousands of Russian people every day. dead, wounded, and missing in action, it's a lot of people. 1,200, 1,700, not as much in the later days because they just run out of soldiers, they run out of ammunition, they run out of everything. And now Ukraine control big chunk of Russian territory in Kursk region. So Ukraine in a great negotiating position. So Russia is losing the war. So far on the front, basically no one side is winning at the moment, but Ukraine has plenty of options and they will use them because they don't want to die. Bottom line, Trump and the United States have rolled over for Russia and betrayed Ukraine. Russia is thrilled. It confirmed all their propaganda lies about Ukraine. It was shameful to watch a US president repeat Putin's propaganda word for word. But fortunately, the majority of the American people know better. Some of them are already protesting and expressing their support for Ukraine. After the press conference, Trump went to play golf and Vance went on ski vacation in Vermont, where he was greeted with protesters. And these people are right. What happened and the behavior of the leaders of the United States was inexcusable. They attacked Ukrainian President Zelenskyy. They raised their voices on the war hero and lied, spreading Russian propaganda. I proved everything I said on my channel. And absolutely there is no reason to spread Russian propaganda, especially for the leaders of the United States. This is shameful and disgusting. Russian assassination attempts on Zelenskyy. This is what the Trump and Vance show is really about. So, in the end, after I collected all the information on the issue, this is what I came up with. Since Russia full-scale invasion in 2022, Putin's FSB has repeatedly attempted to assassinate Ukrainian President Zelenskyy. Even recently, another attempt was foiled by Ukraine's security service. But that's not the whole story. As I said, Russia's situation on the battlefield is terrible. Putin's economy is on the brink of collapse, and the only way for Putin to avoid defeat and to cling to his power and his life is through propaganda. He must either stop Ukraine's allies from providing aid, or brainwash Ukrainians into giving up the fight and handing him Zelenskyy's head on a platter. One way to achieve this is a political assassination, not with bullets, but by destroying Zelenskyy's character and reputation. And this is exactly what was the key objectives of Russia's covert disinformation operation Doppelganger, which we talked about in the video. And that campaign was flooded the world with lies, from false corruption allegations to absurd claims like Zelenskyy bought Hitler's property. And Trump just repeated that Zelenskyy is ungrateful, disrespectful, and so on. But this is failed. The world is uniting around Zelenskyy, so it did not work out. But Trump didn't stop on that, and Putin didn't stop. Trump also tried to force Zelenskyy, Ukraine's legally elected president, to hold an election during wartime, which is illegal under Ukrainian law. Why? So that Putin could install a puppet leader against the will of the Ukrainian people. This failed too. Ukraine's parliament, the Verkhovna Rada, unanimously affirmed Zelensky's legitimacy. And 268 votes yes, 0 no, and 12 wasn't present. But Russia didn't stop. The next attempt to politically assassinate Zelenskyy took place on that staged, basically, Trump-Zelenskyy press conference. This has failed again, because Zelenskyy was look good, and Trump and Vance didn't. Now, Speaker Michael Johnson, latest comments revealed even more. Johnson suggested that Zelenskyy should come to his senses or step down to end the war. He wants Zelenskyy to resign. So basically, remove Zelenskyy by any means. That's what Russia is trying to do. And the United States is helping Russia to do that. This is an opinion. In my opinion, this exposes the coordinated attack on Zelenskyy at the White House. It was yet another attempt to pressure him into resigning, handing Putin an easy victory, or at very least to discredit him in the eyes of the American public. Why? So Trump can justify cutting off aid to Ukraine, and in doing so, save his buddy Putin. I never thought I'll see the day when the United States would surrender to Putin for absolutely no reason. I'm sad, I'm disgusted. And even this is not the end. According to Politico, United States secretly discussed with Ukrainian opposition the possibility of having the election. They talked to Yulia Tymoshenko, and they talked to the previous president of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko. Both of them, by the way, denied that election is possible. They literally said, go away, United States. It's not possible. There is a war going on. So this attempt failed. So far, anyways. Meanwhile, Russia is continue bombing Ukrainians, continue bombing civilians. This is Kryvyi Rih. Russian missile whacked the hotel, and 4 people, minimum 4 people, are dead. This is how Russia wants peace. I am Russian Canadian, and both my country, Canada, and I personally stand with Ukraine, and I hope you will stand by me. I will continue to support Ukraine, as I have since 2014, since the very beginning of this war, and so will my country, Canada. We are a democratic country, and do not surrender to dictators. It is now up to Europe to help Ukraine defend itself. So far, Ukraine and Zelenskyy have received overwhelming support and words, but what Ukraine truly needs are weapons and security guarantees. And I hope that these will be provided soon. And already several countries step up. France step up. Macron had a speech about helping Ukraine and sharing information with France and so on. So keep calm and help Ukraine. Thank you for watching. Learn the truth and stay informed. See you later.